Good morning, everybody. I hope you can hear me. We're going to start our webinar. I think there's just a few more people joining, but I think we're going to start. And we keep getting these invites. So we're just going to start. We're going to have a small, an hour-long presentation on interoperability. But don't worry, this will be the first presentation on interoperability. And we hope to do more in the weeks and months to come to help people understand what it's all about and how to use it and get some value from it and the ABS Clearinghouse. So I'm going to share my screen. Just give me a second. I think I got it the wrong way. Can you see my screen or swap this?
Yes.
How's that?
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
Full mode.
All right, so welcome to the webinar. This is it's going to be about an hour long, as I mentioned. I'm going to do a little introduction about what interoperability is. A lot of the questions that we got this time were kind of random questions, kind of very basic questions about interoperability, but I'm going to try to give a very brief overview of what that means and how it can work, and then we'll see some practical examples from Blaze. He works at the, I'll let him introduce himself as we go. He works as a programmer here at the CBD. Then we're going to hear from Laurent from the EU Declare project. And then we're going to hear from Hanoir about how they are using the API for their projects. So throughout this webinar, if you have any questions that you want answered, please type them into the chat and we'll try to take questions towards the end. And if they get answered, that's fine, but please feel free to add your questions in the chat. I just want to mention we've been doing these monthly webinars now for quite some time now. We have the next set of webinars for this year will be specific webinars for focal points and publishing authorities. And these webinars will, there's a pre-webinar survey, and these will be more of discussion webinars, and we're going to try to do them on November 30th in French, on December 7th in Portuguese, and December 14th in Spanish. So we're going to try to change it from just topics and try to do more language-based webinars that can help focal points and try to figure out some of the challenges and where people are in publishing information. So that's coming up. So after this, I'll be sending everybody information on the next set of webinars coming up. So for this webinar, we had 86 people registered, 7 from the African region, 8 from the Asia Pacific, 6 from Central Europe, Eastern Europe, 12 from the Caribbean and Latin America, 14 from Western Europe, and about 21 from various organizations. One of the things that we asked was, do you have a system in place that can share information or has relevant information that could be shared, or a tool that could share information with the ABS Clearinghouse? And 11 participants said yes, they have systems. 5 said they're planning to build systems like that, and 18 said no. So, like I said, the other questions that we got were quite random, and I hope that we're going to try to answer a lot of them with the presentation, and maybe we can take them at the end. So I just wanted to, I was thinking about what a clearinghouse is. And a clearinghouse is actually a term that comes from banking, and they're sort of a record-keeping operation. And I wanted to use this sort of a banking example for how basically the clearinghouse works. So when you go to a bank, you go to a desk and you meet like a bank teller, and then you can do different operations. So you could make a withdrawal, for example, or you can check the balance of your account, or you can make a deposit. So you have all these different operations that you can do. So, for example, if you wanted to make a withdrawal, you'd have to talk to the bank teller. He'd authenticate you. He'd figure out if you're the person who owns that bank account. They'd check the balance of your account. They do all these operations that happen sort of behind the counter before they went to the bank vault and got your money and brought it to you. So there's all these like operations and tasks and subtasks that allow you to do different things at the bank. So that's very similar to how the clearinghouse works. So basically, we have the same thing. We have these client interfaces. So we have the ABS Clearinghouse website is one example. We have the EU Declare system is another interface that uses some of the processes of the clearinghouse mechanism, and various national systems. And Henoir and his project, they also use these operations to exchange information. So the ABS Clearinghouse is built on different like technology than the Declare system. They're all different applications, but they still use the clearinghouse processes and operations to store and retrieve and organize data. So that is basically what interoperability means. It means that any other application or website or national system can use these different tasks that we have, operations that we have documented to do something of value on their own application. So I hope that's clear. But if you have any questions, please feel free to type them into the chat again. So one of the other things that I wanted to talk about was that in the process of a government implementing the Nagoya Protocol, they have a whole bunch of obligations that they have to do. And some of them are to set up their legal frameworks and their institutional arrangements. And once they get those set up, they publish that information on the ABS Clearinghouse. So you get a focal point, you publish it on the clearinghouse. You get you designate a CNA, you publish it on the clearinghouse. You set up your various legal measures, you publish it on the clearinghouse. And then after a while, those records sort of taper off and they don't keep increasing. So once you have your system set up, you kind of level off in terms of setting up sharing that information. But what information changes over time are the certificates and the checkpoint communiques. So as your system progresses and more people, more users make requests for permits, we start getting more and more certificates published on the clearinghouse, and then those certificates, those users meet checkpoints, and then we get more and more checkpoint communiques on the clearinghouse. So I just wanted to highlight those are the two record categories that are more dynamic than the other ones. So I kind of wanted to also go through where there could be more interactions with the ABS Clearinghouse and these national systems, because in the process of a user getting access and then utilizing a genetic resource, there's a number of steps that happen. And there's a number of steps for the user, and there's a number of steps for the provider country that they have to deal with the exchange of information. They have to manage information, and it makes it easier if this information is managed in a systematic way. For example, in the first step, the user wants to get access to use genetic resources or associated traditional knowledge. So they find the procedure. This is sort of it's not a very detailed steps, but I'm just going over some of these sort of larger steps. So the first step, they want access. They find the access procedure on the clearinghouse. So that means that the provider has to make that available on the clearinghouse, right? So there's like two sides to this. One is the things that the user have to do, and one on the bottom is the things that the provider has to do. So then the user follows this procedure and applies for access with the provider. and then the provider has to process that application. They have to guide the user through this whole application process. Eventually, the user and the provider negotiate the MAT, and they are granted a permit. So the provider has to save that permit and agreement and publish that as an IRCC on the clearinghouse. So there's another exchange of information that happens there. Then the user starts to use the genetic resource, and they have to provide information at checkpoints they encounter on the value chain between research and development. And so that means that the user also has to gather this information from a checkpoint, and they have to publish it on the ABS clearinghouse, and that's called the checkpoint communique. Also, the provider is notified of a checkpoint communique, so that might mean they might want to see what's going on with their genetic resource and how it's being used. They can contact the user, they can contact the user country, but they also might have reporting milestones of their own that they want to use or trigger or communicate with the user on at different points in the development process. So, and then finally, the user hopefully develops some benefits and they share them with the provider, and the provider may want to also document and record these benefits for reporting. So there's a lot of different spots where there's information that needs to be organized and shared with the clearinghouse. So those are the kinds of things between permitting and monitoring that we can make systems interoperable. So I hope that was also understandable. But what I wanted to sort of talk to also highlight is that we have sort of a goal and a plan for the next 2 years and 4 months, basically. So there's 857 days between today and the deadline for the first national report, which is 28th of February in 2026. So we have sort of a goal in mind and what we can do by that time. So we wanted, the goal was that by February 2026, all available permits and checkpoint communiques are published on the clearinghouse. So there's a lot of parties right now that haven't made this information public on the clearinghouse. There's a lot of parties that have just joined or are in the process of joining and have a big backlog of permits to upload to the clearinghouse. So we want to make sure that those countries are doing this work efficiently, and they can make use of the interoperability to publish these permits and checkpoint communiques efficiently on the clearinghouse. Because, for example, countries like India, they have a lot of, let's say, flow of permits that turn to certificates, and they've been entering them each by hand. You know, someone manually enters that information, and it takes a lot of time for thousands of permits. So we're trying to promote this, the use of the interoperability to publish these more efficiently. So, from now we have a plan. Thanks to the EU, they've given us some funding to support the improvement of our interoperability and the documentation, and we're going to try to optimize it for these connections with electronic permitting and monitoring systems. And we're trying to develop a few pilot projects with countries, and we're going to highlight this work at a workshop in 2024. There's an ABS workshop in September 2024 where we're going to compile a list of some solutions that we've done over the next year and highlight them at this workshop. So countries that are in a position that are developing a system that want to make use of this interoperability, they have a big backlog of permits that they need to publish, or they want to enhance how they're monitoring, and they're working on projects. We want to make sure those are, they consider making those interoperable with the clearinghouse. And we're going to highlight that work at this workshop. This workshop is thanks also to the Japan Biodiversity Fund, so I'd like to thank them for that. And out of that workshop, we're going to make the report of that workshop an information document to COP16 with some key messages that came up from this year of interoperability work, and hopefully during the following year and a little bit, we'll try to promote countries to take up some of these solutions and use interoperability and make that work happen before the first national report is due. So that's sort of the overall plan for this, and yeah. So that's it from my side. I think right now I'll pass the floor to Blaze, who'll tell you more about the. I'll ask him to introduce himself and tell you more about how we work on what we're doing and the various options for interoperability and the ABS clearinghouse at the CBD.
Thanks, Matt. Good morning, everyone. My name is Blaise Fonseca. I'm a software engineer with the CBD Secretariat, and I'm responsible for the ABS clearinghouse development. Today, I will take you through two parts of the functions that we have available at the clearinghouse. The first part is more of an general functions that's available into the clearinghouse that any general user can use. They do not need any programming background. And then the second part is more technical. That's to do with the APIs that will require more of a programming background. But I just want to highlight the options that are available in the clearinghouse for you to use. So the first part is what we call the embed feature that was released at the last COP. So to use that feature, you need to go to the search page. And what it lets you do is, in case if you have certain list of records that you will like to show on your website without any programming done, the clearinghouse has inbuilt feature that lets you generate a code that you can just copy paste into your HTML page or a web page that your country or your organization has. So it works exactly the way you might embed a YouTube video or a Facebook post or anything else. So what you need to do is once you go to the search page, you need to just do the search, place the search criteria. So let's say, for example, today we're gonna look for all the records which have access, tagged with access, and maybe like from the Central and Eastern Europe region. So this is my search. I have this 13 records, and I want this search result to be shown on my website, on my personal website. So what you need to do once you set the criteria, you need to click on the share button. This has other options that you can use, but I'll focus on the embed option. And all these three options work exactly the same, but they have a little bit different behavior. So you click on the embed button. To use the embed option, you need to be logged in. So I am already logged in, so the system didn't ask me to log in. Here, the system will ask you which website are you trying to embed this code on. We're trying to just take a note of the website that are using our code. So I'm going to say test.com for this example. Once you provided the domain, you will just click on the generate code. Here it's basically a verification from Google that you are not a robot. Once that's done, the system will generate you a piece of code. All you need to do is click copy. This will copy this piece of code, and then you can take this code and paste it anywhere you like. It has to be a web page. So to give you an example, I have this web editor, which has some HTML code, and I'm just going to refresh. And as you see, it has some basic HTML in it. I come here and I just paste my code. Once I paste this code and I make this page live, you will see now that the system has embedded the search result that we just filtered on the ABS clearinghouse is now on this web page. So this way you could fetch information from the ABS clearinghouse onto your onto your personal country website or on any other website that you wish to show this information. Another nice thing is like if you just want to embed a particular record, for example, this is something that has been that is more relevant to a particular page or your organization, you could also embed just this record. All you need to do is open that record, you click on share button. It's the same feature that you do. You click on embed. You again provide the domain, click on generate. The system will create another piece of code. You copy the code, you go to another web page that you wish to embed the document, and now the system is now showing the measure directly onto your web page. So this way, this is very simple to use feature that you can use as a general user. The next thing I want to talk to you about is a small feature that we have built to allow countries to provide information in bulk. We have noticed that some countries are maintaining their information in an Excel sheet because they do not have the permit system yet. So, and then it becomes a like they have a lot of records that are kept in an Excel format, and then they have to upload them all of them at once, and it's kind of difficult. So what we have done is like we have built an Excel template that I will share with you. If you have a lot of records that you have in an Excel sheet, and if you wish to upload it to the ABS clearinghouse, all you need to do is like you use the Excel template and provide all the information in the Excel template and send it to us, and we will upload that for you. In coming months, we're going to build this feature into the clearinghouse so that you can just go to the clearinghouse and upload the Excel by yourself. So as you see here, this is an Excel that was sent to us by Argentina. They're following, they provided all the information for about 35 IRCCs. And once they provided us, we uploaded this information in the ABS clearinghouse as a draft record, and then the publishing authority from Argentina had to publish all the records by validating all the information has been uploaded correctly or not. So that's the first part of which was non-technical. Then the second part I want to show you is a bit of technical part, which is the API. So what is API? API is Application Programming Interface. It's a way to allow two different softwares to talk to each other behind the scene, like Matt showed in his presentation. I also want to mention to you that the ABS Clearinghouse itself is using the APIs that we have built. The ABS Clearinghouse is an open source software, so the code that we develop is also available for you to view how the ABS Clearinghouse is programmed and how the ABS Clearinghouse is using the APIs to communicate with to send all information that all countries are submitting. So in case if you have a system and you wish to integrate it, the ABS Clearinghouse APIs with your system, all you need to do is refer to our documentation that we have. It's very simple documentation. The documentation is available on scbt.github.io. And then we have a versioning system where you will be provided all the documentation by versions. I'll just quickly show you what this different types of API that we use. So the index API is something that is used by the search. So whenever you go to the search page, all the information that you see is powered by this index API. Then we have the storage API. So all the information that you create in the ABS Clearinghouse is powered by the storage API. So here you will see there are APIs to create, delete, get, or list or update the record. Then we have security, just to validate if the user who is logged in has rights to create or delete or update the information. Then we have versioning APIs in case if you want to upload any attachments. in case if you just want to create draft records and not publish it, then again, like if there is if the user has rights to create the draft information or not. So this is very simple. It will require a bit programming knowledge, so I'm not going to go in detail how it works, but I just want to present to you the options that we have available. We also have a repository where we provide examples how to use this API. So we have built some examples in Node.js. It's a framework. It's a technology that the Secretariat is using. So we have an example in Node.js, but our idea is to build more examples because each country or each organizations might be using different types of technology. So here you will be able to see how we are using the API. At the same time, like I mentioned, all our code is freely available for anybody in the world to view. So we have hosted all our code on github.com. It's an repository website where majority of the world saves their code, and which you can go and freely use it. So we are also using the same website. Here you'll see we have the ABS clearinghouse the whole code for the clearinghouse. You can browse it and you can you see how we are using it. I think that's all I wanted to show today. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Blaze. That's very useful. I think following this, if there's any questions, you can always reach out to us on how to use the API. We can provide some additional guidance, but I think that was a brief overview by Blaze on some of the different kinds of interoperability that we offer. So some are less technologically difficult to use, and some are perhaps more, but you can do more things. So basically, we're developing sort of a menu of different things that countries can use to improve how they do permitting, how they do monitoring. So next, I'm just going to invite Laurent to give a quick presentation about the project that he's working on using interoperability with the clearinghouse and the UN declare system. EU declare system, excuse me.
Yes. Good morning, good afternoon. You can hear me well? Yes. Okay. I will share my screen. So just to introduce myself, I am Laurent Ingabire. I work from European Commission in Europe, and I am in charge as a project manager, and I used to be also a developer of the integration of the system we use in-house called Declare with the ABS clearinghouse. So we have been integrating it since already 4 or 5 years now, and it seems to be working well. No many issues. So here I want to just show you what and how we did it in a few minutes. So I will share my screen. Let me see. A moment. Up. You can see my screen? Yeah. Okay, good. So here is just a Confluence page where I want to tell you what are the 3 actors in the system we use. So in green we have the organization, the applicant. We call him a genetic resource user here, who can save a declaration, can submit to national authority. Then there is a internal workflow where they can revise, modify if the national competent authority says, oh, something is missing, something is not clear. So this is the workflow for the applicant. And once the declaration is submitted, it goes to the public authority. And in our case in Europe, we have two types of public authorities. One is the competent authority, who will really check and go and verify the content of the declaration, making sure that everything is okay. Otherwise, there are internal workflow to request for a modification and clarification. And once the competent authority has validated, he will or she will submit to the publishing authority. This is the one who has access to the ABS clearinghouse, and the person will just quickly do a sanity check, and after that, he will just transmit to the ABS clearinghouse in Orange, where data is stored. Now, what happens in the ABS clearinghouse system? Blaise just explained it. I will not repeat. Okay, so this is in short the workflow. Here we have a short condensed schema. So we go from draft, from the organization, from the applicant who submits here, and then the competent authority will do checks, and if everything is okay, he will submit and request transmission by the publishing authority, and then the information will be submitted to the ABS clearinghouse. In the middle, there are revision, corrections, and so. Okay. Now, what I wanted to show you is the system itself. So I am in the development environment, so you cannot access it. You will not be able to access it. But usually when the user logs in, there are many elements here, but we will focus on the Nagoya declare part. Here for the demo, I prepared a user who has the 3 profiles, so it is easy for me to play with it. But as a company, I will be able to create and to submit my declaration. Okay, I will just go fast, where there is a bunch of information that they have to fill in. I will test in French, for example. And there are 2 ways of filling in the form. We can use the IRCC or a national permit that has been obtained from another country, but not yet published on the ABS clearinghouse. For here, I will say that I have an IRCC, which means it is a certificate that is already available on the system of ABS clearinghouse, which means then I have the code. So I'm using the testing environment, and you can see they are offered several testing certificates. So I can add more certificate to my declaration. Let's take another one. I don't know if there are other ones. Brazil, I don't know. No, in the test. Let's take another one here, for example. So this part here is probably the part that is only transmitted to UN ABS clearinghouse, while the second part is specific to European Commission, European Union information, where the applicant has to declare that he fulfills the different requirements. Okay, and if he has any other genetic resource, he has to provide the code of it. He can explain in which area if they have received grants, so public money or private money, depending, and also from which country the competent authority is using these genetic resource users. So it's European countries only. So I can take Belgium, for example. And now I can put that I declare I'm submitting this from Brussels. Okay, it used to be paper. That's why we still have this kind of fields here, like place of declaration. Now online normally does not make sense because it's online, but yeah. Okay, it seems that I missed something. Would you please to fix wherever you use? Okay, I'm missing. Okay, here, this one. Just Let's see now if it works. Okay, so here I'm saving my declaration that contains two permits, two certificates. As an organization, I can, of course, edit, I can view it, and now I can submit to my national competent authority. Here it's Belgium, but we are in test environment. Okay, so as a company, I finished my work. Now, I will switch to the other screen where I will log in as, now I will log in as competent authority. Okay, and as a competent authority, I can list all the declarations of my country in various statuses. I can search and do. And here I see there is one that is in status submitted, for which I can view, download PDF if I want to work offline, do some checks. Okay. And then I can decide that, okay, everything seems okay. Now I want to request the publication to the ABS Clearinghouse. I will try to publish, but I need to specify in which language. Because as you know, the ABS has these languages. And now in my case, I will select like French, for example, and now I can submit. There is a pop-up confirmation. Did you translate it properly in French, or there is no translation needed, or yes, I translated and I want to request publication. Okay. Now, at this stage, it's not yet at ABS Clearinghouse. At this stage, it's still in EU, in Europe, but it's now the time for the publishing authority to come and to try to publish, to transmit, to integrate them, to make the information available to the ABS Clearinghouse. So as publishing authority, you can see I don't have much to do. I can see the different declarations, and I see there is one that is waiting for publication. And when I come here, I can now publish each checkpoint communique separately. It's not that's the choice we made, because sometimes there are some that can be published, maybe some are not, some are national permits. So that's why we do it. And when I click on here, I get a pop-up where I'm requested to put the login and the password that I will get from the ABS Clearinghouse, so from Blaise or Matthew from ABS Clearinghouse. So this login and password, me from system manager, I don't know them because these are from national competent authorities. So they have it themselves. They will just fill in. Myself, I have some testing that Blaise provided me and I will proceed. So now I'm publishing to the ABS Clearinghouse. It takes a bit of time, but no, it's done. Yes, it's done. And you can see that now my certificates here, I got the status published. I got ABS Clearinghouse ID. I can go and look at it. Okay, but you can see the second one is not yet published. I can do it later on, or maybe not. Okay, so this is the way we do. So now I can try to go and, oops, I think there is a little typo now that we are doing. So I can come here and I can see it in the testing environment. You see, this is the testing environment, but we can see Belgium, oops, sorry, I'm clicking Belgium. I just did my test FR in French, and all the you see green company in Belgium with my testing data. So, and just now today. So this is the integration we do. We have been working closely with with the team in Canada, who helped us to do testing, to do all the integration. I have to say there is a good testing environment and the support, so that makes it easier. At our level of the system of declare, due to the fact that we have completed all the pipeline from the draft until the publication to ABS Clearinghouse, now more and more countries, so European countries, who had, as Blaise said, Excel files or national systems, some are now dropping their ad hoc system to fully use declare so that they can have the full pipeline with the integration. So we have now several countries that are really onboarding into declare to benefit this integration that we have already set up, so they don't have to do it again and duplicate the effort. So, and then of course behind there are all statistics and the report and everything, but that is eternal. Voila, in short, what I can say. What else? Just to say also, in terms of code, these are the only parameters that basically we need. The ABS Clearinghouse user, it is encrypted, so don't worry on that. But we have the testing endpoint here and the website for testing. In real system, we have different ones, but in terms of integration, these are the only information we really have to manage, plus some endpoints that we do. So it can be simple, I think, even if I think before we were like one of the first ones doing it. So we learn together, but at the end you can see it's not complicated. Voila.
Thank you. Thank you very
That's
much,
what I can
Laurent. That was a
say.
great demonstration. I hadn't actually seen the declare system work in live yet, so that was
Yes.
very interesting and great job. But as you can see, Laurent has taken some of the operations, the endpoints, the API, and developed this system to do something different and extended the ABS clearinghouse into his system. So that's a very good example, and thank you for that. If you have any questions for Laurent or anything, you can also remember post them in the chat, or we can get back to you later. Next, I'd like to invite Renoir. He can introduce himself and present his project that's also using interoperability from the ABS Clearinghouse. It's a very interesting project, so I'll let you take over, Renoir.
Thank you very much. And just waiting to put this on full mode. There it is. Let me know if there is any issue to presentation. I think it's working right.
Yes.
Okay, there it is. Thank you very much. My name is Henry Nunez. I am working in the SMZ, the Leibniz Institute in Germany. And as Matthew mentioned, I want to share some of the integration and the use that we made to the ABS Clearinghouse. I want to share with you some of the main aspects on this regard in the project that I'm working on, which is the project called Examining Trends in Non-Monetary Benefit Sharing. This is a 3-year project funded by the Federal Agency for Nature Conservation in Germany. And at the same time, I'm also doing my PhD in the within the framework of this project. A little bit of background: the global biodiversity framework, which is the strategic plan for the CBD, has 23 targets and 4 goals, and the target 30 and goal C are related to ABS. And in short, it mandates is to the benefit sharing must increase. That's the goal for this target and this goal. However, there is no method yet to measure it. So, in this decision regarding the monitoring framework, the indicators for this goal and target is still in the development. There is a group ad hoc technical expert group that will work with partners to guide the development of this indicator, and the SMZ and the science policy group that we are working on. We are also participating on this. The project objective is to develop a method to quantify non-monetary benefit sharing from the use of genetic resources. The Nagoya Protocol Annex proposes a list of non-monetary benefits. Some of them are easier than others to measure, to quantify. So we decided to focus on the, let's say, easier ones or more feasible to quantify as a starting point. So that is that we are going to try to quantify publications, research results, and collaboration in research and development programs. This collaboration has a proxy. We are seeing this like an international collaboration using co-authorships to quantify it. For example, a question that we can answer in this sense is how many articles have scientific papers or articles have at least one author from the country providing the genetic resources. That is, when the author location is the same that the country of origin of these genetic resources, and how many of these articles has an in-country author in the first position, for example. A little bit, we're trying to use also joint ownership in the international and the intellectual property rights. So in that sense, the question that we want to answer is, okay, is it possible to quantify non-monetary benefit sharing in the first place? And how can we capture the amount of non-monetary benefits that are flowing, which is a difficult question to answer, but we think that the scientific databases, or one hypothesis, that we can use scientific databases to answer this question. Something to keep in mind is that we need to know how does the scientific community are connecting the genetic resources with the ABS permits and related information in publications. So for that purpose, we started creating a database, the 18 non-monetary benefit sharing database, and in order to show this connection between the genetic resources and the scientific literature when the ABS permit is known and when the ABS permit is unknown, which is something that we are taking into account. And we started looking for the ABS permits in publication databases. For this, we use the European PMC database. And the first thing that we started looking for was the IRCC, already mentioned, the International Recognized Certificates of Compliance, or National Permit Codes, something that we are keeping in mind. So in this sense, instead of doing this manually, the idea is to take advantage of web services already available. And that's something that it's related to this interoperability, not just with ABS Clearinghouse, but with other databases that also use this kind of API, so application programming interface. This allows to do automatic search using the computer. And the general idea is to provide data in a way that computers can process it easier and faster, not doing things manually. Manual verification is still required in our case to see, when we see this information in a paper, and to be sure that the connection between the genetic resource and the publication using the ABS permit is correct, especially at the beginning. So here I'm going to show you just a quick example of a small example of how we use not just the ABS Clearinghouse API, but also the European PMC API and web services. So the ABS Clearinghouse provides the opportunity to find these ABS permits, and it was already explained before by Matthew. And at the same time, you know that there are 140 parties to the Nagoya Protocol. However, only 27 parties have sent ABS permits so far. And we found, using the information in the clearinghouse, that around 90% of the IRCCs are coming from 4 countries solely. So this is the information that we have available, and we try to see what is the trend over time and see what information we have available. So I am not showing here code or nothing related to the technical part, just the final result, but it's important for you to know that we are using scripts, and in this case Python scripts to obtain the information or get the information from the clearinghouse using the API. In this case, you can see that the IRCCs in the clearinghouse are growing and diversifying. You can see that over time, the number of IRCCs has increasing, as well as the number of countries providing this information. So this is something that you can also find in the website. Probably we use it in a way to show and to manipulate the plots by yourself. And well, this is the information that we have available to start looking for ABS permits on research articles. So that's what we did. However, despite the fact that the IRCC is the Nagoya Protocol gold standard for permits, ABS permits, few articles are mentioning the IRCC numbers by itself. So in total, we have around almost 5,000 IRCCs available. However, we found just 1%, less than 1% of them are mentioned in research articles. What we found is that most of the researchers are citing the national permits instead of the IRCC. And this is actually the complete list that we found of codes used by researchers in papers. So instead of stopping there, we start looking for more information because, as you may already know, and it was already mentioned during the presentation, is in the left side of the screen. You can see that this is a fragment of a typical IRCC. You can see in the square, the red square up on the screen, you can see the IRCC, but below there are more information about the national code. So we found, in many cases, this is just an example, that this is the code that the researchers are using. And we have an example in the right side of the screen where the scientists are using that number to refer to the ABS permit they have related to this permit. So this is an example how we use this information, just a quick example about it, and how we extract this data, not manually, but using scripts for these purposes. So we start looking for that. With that information, we use the data we obtain from the API for the clearinghouse, and we look for the data in the European PMC database. And well, and we discover all the other interesting things. For example, researchers are using different sections to mention an ABS permit. You can see that most of them in the database that we created, they're using materials and methods, acknowledgement, and well, among other sections. So there is no clarity where to use it, where to put the ABS permit. And well, with that in mind, we created we put together all this information, and that's what we are working on. This is the part that we use the API. So we continue analyzing the data together, not just with the clearinghouse, but with other databases. And I want to use the opportunity to show a few insight results that we have so far. This is not a finished project, but we already have something to show to you. And in this case, I can tell you that in the database that we have, where we are connecting research articles with the genetic resources, the majority of papers are using just one genetic resources for just one country. Just 6% of them are using genetic resources from more than one country. And when I told you about the international collaboration, we found that around 70% of the papers that we have in the database they have at least one author from the country giving or providing genetic resources, and half of them are in the first position. When we see this over time, we can see that there is a trend. This is not showing what we are, the complete list of ABS permits mentioned in the complete list of ABS permits. This is the list of ABS permits connected to genetic to research articles that we have in our database. And you can see the trends. It's increasing, and over time there are more papers that has the in-country author in the first position. The similar pattern goes to the co-authorship when the author goes in the first position. Future work in this project and in the department, we are going to expand the database, and we are exploring more, including more data when the ABS permit is unknown, what we can learn from the previous data, and how can we obtain more information about this. We appreciate all the collaboration in this regard, having more examples about this connection. And of course, the idea is to contribute in the development of the indicators in the framework of the GVF. And our department is also developing and working in the CBD study about benefit sharing indicators. So far, this is the information. I hope there's still some time for questions. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Henwar. It's a great example again of using the API to add some value to this work that we're doing. And yeah, thank you for presenting that. We're getting close to our 1 hour mark, but I noticed there's a couple questions. Some of them have also been answered already, but maybe I can just start with some of the easy ones that I see there. And just to let you know, we a lot of these presentations that we do are demos, so we usually share the recordings of these, and we'll make that available soon. We'll also try to reach out to the people who ask questions in the registration with an answer, and we also use that information to populate our knowledge base and our frequently asked questions with those answers. So you'll be able to look at that. Yeah, there's a bunch of questions. Where can we start? So maybe I'll just start with another easy one. There's a question about, does the ABS Clearinghouse provide training for ABS national focal points or for competent national authorities? I think the same question will go to DSMZ. It's quite difficult for anyone who is not a database expert to understand much of these jargons or acronyms. At the end of the day, we all want to make this easy to navigate for authorities. So I think that's maybe I can start by saying, in terms of training, we have e-learning courses. So I would suggest, if you're a focal point, you're a new focal point, you're an old focal point, or a competent national authority, you're working on ABS and you want to use the ABS Clearinghouse, first of all, I would suggest that you take our e-learning course, and we can send you a link to that. If you need further training, you can always reach out to the ABS Clearinghouse, and we can provide training on how to use one-on-one training. We can go through demos. We can go through online, like a webinar like this with you and your team to explain how to use the Clearinghouse. But I would first suggest that you look at those e-learning modules and then come up with some specific questions for us, and we can do further training if needed. In terms of training to use the API or interoperability, I think right now there's an opportunity here because we do have some funding now, like I said in the beginning, from the EU to put some effort into making the API and interoperability more useful to people, more optimal for people's the use for permitting systems and monitoring. To be honest, Henwar and probably Laurent here are the experts that we have so far on using the API. So what I wanted to do is also develop more of a community around people that are using the API, and hopefully countries who also want to do that can learn from what's been done. We want to share examples, as Blaise said, on the GitHub repository. We want more interactions between people that are programmers and people that are working on these different applications so they can share solutions. So that's something that we're going to be trying to develop over the next years. And so it's sort of just the start now. But like I said, there's an opportunity now. So if you do have a project and you want to use interoperability, we do have someone that we're hiring to support this work full-time at the Secretariat. So it's an opportunity for you to use that to work on those kind of things now and reach out to us. Anybody want to say anything else about that? I wasn't sure what you meant with the question DSMZ, but anyway. So there's a lot of questions. What else was Farah? Was it? Do you want to say something? Anything, Henwar? No. Okay. Farah, was there any other things that we needed to answer?
Yeah, so a lot of the questions Beatrice was answering, but there's one question about the legal framework. Are all records information accessible in the ABS Clearinghouse in the public domain? Are they public data, or do infrastructure providers need to contact national contact points or agencies to obtain permission to integrate records?
Yeah, that's a good question. Right now, all that information is publicly available. All the published information on the clearinghouse is publicly available. I think there are terms of use in this. You can read the terms of use at the Secretariat, but I think basically the information, especially contact details of people, need to be used for related purposes and not for spamming people or things like that. So I think that's maybe the only restriction, that it has to be relevant to the work that we're doing at the Secretariat. Any other questions?
No, I think a lot of these questions were answered in the chat, and anything that's pending, we can reach out to after.
Okay. Please go ahead, Anwar.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe in when someone was referring to DSM set is about training. Anyways, I would like to use the opportunity to say, okay, if you have a question, a specific question, you can reach us out. We don't have training in that sense, but as Matthew said, we are also learning, and Blaze showed some examples about how to use the API in the in the system, but we are trying to develop something in a different programming language and a different way. So I think that the best thing to do, to approach in this sense is like reach us out. You will have my contact, and definitely we can share experience. So if you want to learn something or go deeper in something that we were working on, please don't hesitate to contact us.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I think, yeah, like I said before, I wanted to sort of create a community of people that are using the API and develop that a little bit. So if you have an interest in using the API, if you have a system or you're working on a system and you want some advice about what needs to be considered to integrate that system, please reach out to us. As I said, we're in this the next year, we're trying to promote and support some kind of pilot projects and solutions that use the API that we can highlight at a meeting that we have in next September 2024 in Bonn. So that will be a big ABS workshop to highlight solutions and come up with some of the challenges that we can transmit to COP, that hopefully can develop some policy that might support this work, and then we can work the following year up until 2026 on actually implementing solutions with this group. So that's again sort of the vision that I see. But yeah, there's not a lot of information or not a lot of examples of people using the API, but we want to support you to do that, and it's a good time now to get in touch with us if you need support for that. So, any last questions, or are we? Ping, do you want to say something? Let me see if I can find you. I think. Can you use your? Do you want to say your question, Ping, or type it in?
I just allowed your mic, so you should be able to unmute it.
Oh, yeah, thank you for this, Matt. So I want to understand why it is premature to deal with the SI, because I think we have encountered in our setting researchers going back already to the country, and they're saying that some of the materials that they collected from the country are in some DSI databases. And of course, there's a problem also with our institutional setup, wherein very few administrators of databases understand ABS Clearinghouse. And in fact, I told them to attend this, but they're busy with other things. So I want to understand, is it because of the negotiations that are still will still start? But the fact of the matter is that there are already ongoing utilization, and some of these researchers are going back to the country to secure compliance certificates. And yeah, I just want to understand that part now. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Bing, I see your question there about interoperability and let me just find it. But for example, I mean the tools that we've built and the operations that we've built for the ABS Clearinghouse are very purpose built for what the ABS Clearinghouse is meant to do. So, I mean, interoperability it's not like any magic thing. It's just doing the functionality that we have on the ABS Clearinghouse, what it's built for, the purpose. We make those kind of operations and tasks available to anyone to use. So it doesn't. It's just a way to connect different applications with ours and share data. So that's the only thing that interoperability is for. I mean, for DSI, it's like, for example, if you wanted to build a house or something, we would provide, for example, you a hammer. But maybe you don't need a hammer. Maybe you need something else, and I don't know what that is for DSI right now. But we can provide hammers. You know what I mean? So we have specific tasks that we do at the ABS Clearinghouse, and that's what we focus on, based on what we have discussed up until now and how the modalities of the ABS Clearinghouse and the Nagoya Protocol work. So I think that's still very premature discussion, as Beatrice has also commented on. I don't know if that answers your question, but we can also discuss more.
Yeah, can I respond still to elaborate my point? Or
sure, I think we have
no time.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Maybe one
I'll
more.
Be quick. I'll be quick.
Yeah,
it's because we are developing our own clearinghouse, as I already informed you, and we hope to track also those items, those that are in the DSI databases, and perhaps eventually, without waiting for the outcome of the negotiations. Yeah, I understand your point that this is just about systems that are communicating with each other, which is so IT stuff. But the point here is that it is for parties to understand who is utilizing their genetic resource, and whether they're entitled to benefits from the utilization of such resource. But anyway, maybe that's for later discussion. I just want to raise that, and thank you for clarifying that. And yeah, sorry for not responding to your email.
Oh no, don't worry,
Things are
no
busy
problem.
here, but don't worry. I found the time to join you, even if it's
Thanks.
already evening here. Don't worry. We are here to work with you, and we learn from what you're doing, and expand the potential of the ABS Clearinghouse. Yeah. Thank you very
No,
much. Yeah.
no, great. I think I mean, you're working on a system. You're working on developing this national information system about ABS, and it would be very interesting to actually hear more about that case and how that's progressing, maybe in a follow-up webinar, and we can definitely support or discuss what you guys how we can do that on offline or at another time. I think you raised the point about like monitoring your own genetic resources outside of your country, and I think that goes a little bit beyond the Nagoya Protocol and what we're doing here at the Clearinghouse. But I think there can be interesting work on that as well, and it may be interesting to discuss that at another webinar or at another time. We can focus more on that. I think.
Thank you.
Yep. So I think that's it. All I have left is unless anyone of the presenters want to mention anything, any last comments or anything. But if not, thank you very much. I was very interesting. Henoir was very interesting. Laurent, for showing us your projects. I hope we can still be involve you perhaps in some of the future webinars. And as I said, you are experts so far that we have, but yeah, so thanks a lot for joining us and making time today. It was excellent.
Yes, with pleasure. Thank you too. Yes.
Same. Thank you.
All right. So with that, I'll just say have a great day and
You-
hope to talk to you
Yeah.
soon.
Evening here.
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us.